It's not just whey protein anymore. It used to just be about the speed of protein digestion and the speed of muscle protein synthesis. So after a workout, it would be, hey, how quickly can I get this protein in? Well, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. This is very, very positive news. It's not negative. I'm not saying don't consume whey protein. But what we've learned from a very new study that was published in Cell Reports is that when you consume protein, even if you consume a lot of it post-workout, it's going to continue to digest for a long period of time. Now, I've talked about this study in other videos, so I'll recap it very, very briefly just so there's context in case you haven't watched it. But what's most important is the kind of protein they used in this study so that we can extrapolate why certain things may have happened and what we could adjust accordingly. So the study in Cell Reports had found that when subjects consumed 100 grams of protein after a workout, their levels of protein synthesis essentially increased dose-dependently when they consumed 100 grams compared to 25 grams. So basically, the old news of being able to have like 25, 30, 35 grams of protein as the upper limit, that's old news. There essentially seems to be no potential upper limit to how much protein you can have. The only caveat is that it's going to take a longer time to digest. So you finish a workout, you have 100 grams of protein, that's cool. It's just going to take a long time to digest and utilize that 100 grams, but it's certainly not going to get wasted like we used to think. Now, I want to spare all the details, but I'll give you the most important piece. They used tracers, so they were able to actually watch where the protein went in the human body. And that's how they were able to see. With this newer technology, we can see, oh, wow, okay, they consumed 100 grams of protein and it continued to digest and assimilate and trigger muscle protein synthesis for 12 hours. It wasn't wasted. Now, we also saw that there was a nice little boost in the initial surge of protein and muscle protein synthesis when you consumed more. So bottom line, if you take anything away from this video, it's you can have a lot of protein post-workout. But they used an interesting protein. In this particular case, they used milk protein. Okay, now I'm not like trendy and I don't know what all the new cool kids are doing, but most of us aren't using milk protein. Most of us are using whey protein, and whey protein is very different from milk protein because milk protein is about 80-85% casein protein. And if you've ever read the old muscle magazines, you know that casein protein is usually what you're supposed to have like before bed because the digestibility is slow. Okay, it takes a long time to digest. So in this case, they did give subjects milk protein isolate, and that means that there was probably a delay in the overall utilization. But that doesn't mean that this doesn't apply to whey. What it does mean is that, okay, if you had whey protein, maybe it's going to absorb a little faster, but you're still able to have a lot more. But what we learn from this is something really important. And it's that you can, in fact, have a slower digesting protein post-workout and still get the same, if not even a potentially better benefit. So this study is going to open up an entirely new can of worms with what protein is best post-workout. Now, there is no denying that immediately after a workout, you have a heightened anabolic signal. So the more protein that you can get in that short amount of time probably is going to help you as far as what's going to get utilized. But how much protein you have absorbing for hours afterwards is possibly even more important for the long term, because a nice little boost in protein right after a workout's great, but if you start catabolizing and breaking down protein later on, then it was all a waste, right? So perhaps mixing a high, fast digesting protein right after a workout, like a whey protein shake, and then immediately after, maybe 5-10 minutes, having some kind of meat, like a burger or a lean burger or something like that, that's going to be the best bet, because you're going to have this increase in muscle protein synthesis that comes from the whey that absorbs very fast. But then good news, you're not limited anymore. We used to think you could only have that whey protein shake and that's it. You might as well wait for a few hours because you're not going to absorb anything more. Now have that whey protein shake and then have some meat. That way you're getting the nice little spike and you're getting the digestion that's going to continue to occur for a few hours and continue to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Now, what I would recommend is going with a leaner meat so that you're not kind of impeding the action with a higher fat content. So go for like 90, 93, 96% lean, like ground beef or something like that. I put a link down below for ButcherBox. You can skip over this part if you want to, but if you like good quality meat, that is grass-fed, grass-finished beef delivered to your doorstep. That is a special link down below for people that watch my videos. So that shows the custom cuts that I get. So whether it's ground bison, whether it's ground beef, whether it's sirloin, whether it's stew cuts, whether it's cod, whether it's chicken. Their beef though, that's what they're known for. They are the best tasting beef that I have had in a very, very long time. So if you like good tasting beef, check them out. Bottom line, you can get beef anywhere. You can get good beef at the store, but I'm telling you, the taste from ButcherBox is second to none. So that link down below is a special link. Highly recommend you try their bison. Highly recommend you try their ground beef. Then you're getting the gristle and the connective tissue that's getting you that collagen as well. So a lot of benefits to the ground. So that link, once again, down below in the top line of the description for ButcherBox to get delivered directly to your doorstep, and a thank you to them for their support. Now hold up for just a second, because it's not just about having a whey protein shake and having this beef, okay? What we have to look at is the other things that they found in this study. They did find that when subjects had a lot of protein, like 100 grams, the amount of protein synthesis that happened early on was also higher. Now, let me put this into context, because I know that's kind of confusing. If you look on the surface of the study, it looks like, okay, I have 100 grams of protein versus 25 grams of protein. The amount of muscle protein synthesis is the same. The only difference is that the 100 gram serving continues to absorb for a long period of time, because we can only absorb so much at one time, but we're not wasting the rest. It's just digesting over time. Kind of not true though, because the study also showed that when subjects had 100 grams of protein, there was a 20% increase in muscle protein synthesis in the first 4 hours. So the more protein you consume in one sitting, the higher the signal for muscle protein synthesis. So it's like, okay, I could consume 100 grams of protein, or I could consume 25 grams, but if I consume 100 grams, then it's going to send a stronger signal for muscle protein synthesis in the short term and the long term. I know that's complicated, it sounds kind of crazy, but it's very, very true. So that is exactly where we can compound these things, right? So whey protein is notorious for being very fast absorbing. It's very insulinogenic, and it's very rapid in terms of digestion. So if you have 50 grams or even 25 grams, 1 scoop to 2 scoops of whey protein, you're going to get a nice big spike. You combine that with a slower digesting protein like a beef or a chicken or even eggs, that is going to make it so that the protein from the whey protein sends a bigger spike, and then you get the long tail effect from the beef. Think of the beef as sort of a foundation that lasts a long time, and then you have this spike that goes on top of the foundation. That's the best way that I could explain. Look, it's not scientifically accurate, but it's a way to explain and help you sort of help illustrate what's going on here. The other important piece, the key factor that we pulled from this entire study, was that leucine, the amino acid leucine, was the most important amino out of all of this. Okay, now you've probably heard that before, like amino acids like leucine, branched chain amino acids, EAAs, those are important. What they found is that when subjects had more protein, the aminos would kind of disappear, but the most important aminos would end up in the muscle. The leucine, the isoleucine, the valine. Okay, so leucine ending up in the muscle, that is indicative of muscle protein synthesis. That means it's going where we want it. So it helps us understand the importance of leucine. So maybe sipping on essential amino acids or possibly even branched chain amino acids along with your protein, that could actually help. Because what we're seeing here in clear light with these tracers is that the most important thing we're extracting is going to be leucine. So if we can have more leucine availability, we have a higher likelihood of leucine ending up in the muscle. And when leucine ends up in the muscle, that is indicative of muscle protein synthesis, building muscle, or flat out recovering. So to paint a clear picture, you finish your workout, 1 to 2 scoops of whey protein, probably just with water, just keep it simple, a nice tasty lean burger, and if you really want to be extra safe, have a small scoop of leucine or a small scoop of essential amino acids along with it, or continue to sip on some aminos until your next meal. As always, keep it locked in here on my channel. I'll see you tomorrow.